Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 tips for how to start working with publishers and reviewing books for your blog, for BookTube, for Instagram. We're going to talk about it. So this is a question that I've started getting more frequently lately, people asking for tips of how do I do this? How do I get ARCs? How do I get review copies? How do I start working with publishers? And I think part of the reason that I get this question asked is that given the size of my channel, I do have a lot of opportunities to work with publishers and with PR companies and have had quite a number of things sent to me for review. And I think there are some really good practical tips for people at different stages of this journey, whether you're just getting started or you've built a bit of a platform and you're wondering how to do more working with publishers. I've got 10 tips for you guys today, and hopefully you will find this to be helpful. Okay, so tip number one, I know that this is probably something you hear a lot of places, but honestly, it's a really good place to start, is get on Netgalley or Edelweiss. I don't particularly love the platform for Edelweiss. I know a lot of librarians and booksellers like it. I tend to just use Netgalley for the most part. I just find it to be more user-friendly, but your mileage on that is going to vary. However, I think that Netgalley is such a great place to start if you're interested in starting to review books. Netgalley is a website where reviewers or librarians or booksellers can set up an account and be sent e-ARCs or electronic advanced reader copies of books to review. Most of the time, these are documents that you can have sent to your Kindle, so I read all of my Netgalley ARCs on my phone. This is still something that I use pretty regularly, and I like it a lot. One thing that I will caution you with is if you're just getting started, be a little bit conservative in how many titles you are requesting, because you will probably get approved for more than you think you will. But that's a really great place to start out and to start to build a reputation with your audience, with publishers, and kind of get a feel for how to review books and do it in a timely manner. A few things about using Netgalley. Number one, I would say definitely fill out your profile and update it pretty regularly. You can be as elaborate or simple as you want with this, but one thing that you do want to have is updated links to the places that you talk about books and some of your basic stats. So number of followers on YouTube, number of followers on Instagram, if that's a place that you post about books, a link to your Goodreads if you write reviews there. The thing that they want to see is that you are actively reviewing books and posting about them in places, and generally writing Goodreads reviews is a really good way to go. Part of why I say to be conservative with how many you request is that you really want to try to review them in a timely manner. I am not perfect with this, but I try really hard to get most of my ARCs reviewed by release date, or at least by release month. And this is positive for you with publishers in terms of getting approved for other things in the future. And for your audience, it helps you offer reviews to them that could be helpful if they're interested in potentially pre-ordering or purchasing a book that's coming out soon. And also it's going to help your percentages on Netgalley. I think when you're very first starting out, it matters a little bit less, but generally speaking, you want to have your ratio of ARCs sent to you versus ARCs that you have completed reviewing to be around 80%. I am usually hovering right around the 80% mark, and I read and review a lot of Netgalley ARCs actually. In fact, sometimes I'll even request e-ARCs from Netgalley of books that I own physical copies of, just so I have the choice to flip between them if I need to. So that's a lot about Netgalley, but I think that that's a really great starting point and something that most people should probably be doing. So that's really where I would start if you're interested in reviewing books. Moving on from there, not all of these tips will be quite so in-depth. The second tip that I have for you is that you want to cross-post on another platform. If you're on YouTube, you probably want to have at least one other social media platform where you are consistently posting about books. I am a big fan of Instagram and hashtag Bookstagram. You see in my book hauls a lot of stuff that's sent to me. Some of those books that are sent to me because of my Instagram account more than just my YouTube account. So all of the Harlequin titles that I get those because of my Instagram following and because I post about those on Instagram. I also post about them on YouTube, but originally they were from Instagram. So if you're not already on there, that's a really great place to post. And I'm on there a lot. My Instagram's always linked down below if you want to take a look at what I do. I don't post pictures every day, but I try to post pretty consistently. And almost every day, if not every day, I'm posting to my Insta stories and treat it almost as like a daily reading vlog. And so that I think is really helpful if you're cross promoting to more than just one platform. My third tip, which is going to kind of bleed into a couple of other places, involves thinking beyond the big hot new release that's coming out. There are always a lot of books being put out, and they're not all like The Wicked King by Holly Black or something. Of course, there's always going to be those high demand arcs that everybody wants to get their hands on, but there's a lot of other really, really great books coming out from different places that you can check out. And if you're getting started with reviewing, really should check out. One really easy place to get started if you want to start reviewing books and maybe have the possibility of getting some physical arcs, although sometimes they will still be e-arcs, is working with indie authors. So I love indie authors. I think there's a lot of really great work out there. There's also a lot of really terrible work out there. So there's going to be some hit and miss with that, and you're probably going to have to get a feel for what types of indie books are going to work for you and what ones maybe to stay away from. But there's a lot of fantastic indie authors out there, especially in fantasy and romance. So if you're interested in those genres, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And indie authors are often thrilled to have people interested in reviewing and shouting about their books, especially if they really like them. The other thing to consider is smaller publishers. The big five are not all there is. Everybody's looking for like Hachette and Random House and HarperCollins, but there's a lot of other small to mid-tier publishers that are publishing really fantastic books. Abrams, for example, puts out a lot of really great YA content and graphic novels, and they're probably less inundated with requests. Now, I will say, don't just go request anything. Take a look at the titles that they have coming out. See what looks interesting to you or like something you think you would really be into and request it. Maybe broaden the scope of the things that you're imagining and write an email to the publicist and see if you get it. Speaking of which, let's talk about communicating with publicists. A few things on this that I want to share. And really the tip here is be professional, be kind, be enjoyable and easy to work with. Those are all really important things. So first, let's talk about professionality. When you're writing an email to a publicist requesting an ARC, you want to make their lives easier and you want to give them all of the information they need to not only make a decision as to whether to send you the ARC that you are requesting, but also to be able to send it to you if they do decide to approve your request. Publicists are very, very busy people. They have a lot on their plates. They don't have a lot of time often. And sometimes you won't even hear back from an email from a publicist. So you want to make this as easy as possible so that you can get some of the things you're requesting. In general, if I'm requesting a title, I'll write a professional email saying something along the lines of, "Dear publicist's name, I am a booktuber based in New York City, and I'm reaching out to you because I'm really interested in reviewing book title by this author. Here's why I'm excited about it. Here are links to reviews or videos where I shared excitement that is somehow relevant to this book." So for example, when I requested Harrow the Ninth, the sequel to Gideon the Ninth from Tor, I was like, "Hey, I really loved Gideon the Ninth. Here are links to a couple of videos where I said it was one of my favorite books of the year. This is why I'm excited to be requesting that." If you have that kind of thing to add, that's great. Then I would share where I talk about books, links to those platforms, and some of my basic statistics. So number of followers on YouTube, Instagram, Goodreads, etc. Then I would finish the email saying something along the lines of, "I would love to be part of promoting this title. Thank you so much for your consideration. And I am leaving my mailing address below for your convenience. Best wishes, Bethany Poland." And then leave your mailing address so that this way, if they decide to send you the ARC, they don't have to email you back and track you down for your mailing address. They have it. You may never hear back from this publicist. You may just get something in the mail. You may hear back, or you might just not get it at all, but it never hurts to ask. And so that's generally the format that I would follow if you're emailing a publicist. The other tip associated with this is just be nice, be friendly, be easy to work with, use a nice tone, don't be demanding. Follow up with them. So if they kindly sent you a title you were requesting and then you post a review, especially if it's a glowing review, email them with a link to that so that they can share that with the people that they're working with. That helps them in their job. And talking about how you review these books that you get. Let's talk about how to do this. So number one, of course, be honest. Even if you're getting sent a book for free, you should never lie about how you feel about it. You should be honest. And if you have critical feedback, give the critical feedback. For me, the way that I like to do even negative reviews is I usually do still try to offer some positives, like, this was not my cup of tea, but if you like X, Y, and Z, it might work for you. Or these were some of the things that I did like about this book, but here's my critiques of the other things. So that's how I tackle my reviews. I try to be professional and polite about it, but I am always very honest as well. Now, if you're sent something for review, whether it's an e-arc, whether it's a physical arc, and honestly, this is where Netgalley can come in handy sometimes. Even if you get an e-arc and you read it and you love it, shout about it and then tag the publisher or the publicist in you shouting about it, because that is huge. A lot of times people forget to do this. They forget to take this simple step of tagging the publisher on Instagram or on Twitter when you share your review or share your video, or emailing the publicist and saying, hey, I got this on Netgalley and I really loved it and I wanted to send you a link to my review because I was so excited about it. 9 times out of 10, these publicists are really excited about the title too, and they want to hear about you being so happy to have read it. That makes their day, and it gives them something to show that they're doing their job well to the people that they work for. So definitely do that. That's going to make everybody's lives easier, and you might be surprised at what this could lead to. So in 2019, one of my favorite books was The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. This is a book that I originally requested on Netgalley. I got approved for it, and I loved it so much. I made an individual review video for it, and I was so excited about it. I was like, what can I do? How can I connect with this author or figure out how to be a part of promoting this book? And so I sent an email and was like, hey, I loved this. Here's my review, gushing about it. Can I interview the author? They wrote back and were thrilled that I loved it because it wasn't one of their big pushed titles. And the publicist set up a time for me to interview the author at the New York City launch event for the book. And that was super cool. And while there, I got to network with other people, and there were other cool opportunities that came out of that. But part of that was me being proactive and saying, hey, I got this as an e-arc. I really loved it. So let me tell everybody about how great it is, and then tell the publicist that I loved this book. What else can I do? How can we work together? And so part of this is just asking and thinking beyond just telling your audience, but also like tell the people who are publishing the book that you loved it and that you're interested in interviewing the author or going to an event or whatever it might be, and you'd be surprised at the feedback that you might get. All of these tips apply whether you are working with smaller publishers or bigger publishers. Be professional, be kind and easy to work with, be honest in your reviews, but shout about the books that you love. All of those things are really, really helpful. And honestly, even if you don't have a huge platform, if you can build a good relationship with a publicist, you might end up with opportunities that are unexpected. Moving on from just talking about indie authors and smaller publishers, if you're requesting a book from an imprint at a bigger publisher, don't just go after the super hyped titles that everybody is looking to get their hands on. Be the person that looks through their catalog of books that are published and is like, hey, there's this really cool thriller that's coming out that nobody's talking about that sounds amazing that I want to read and review. Or, hey, here's this Own Voices fantasy novel that you're not seeing all over the place, but that sounds amazing and I really want to review it, and request those titles and share your excitement for those. You may get them, you may not, but it never hurts to ask. Finally, this kind of relates to things that I said earlier, but treat events as networking opportunities, not just with fellow creators, but also with publishing professionals. Have business cards made. I have right now these really cute like bookmark business cards that I have with me to give out to people at events. Now I realize that this tip is going to be easier for some people than others. Living in New York City, I recognize that I have a lot of privilege in easy access to a lot of publishing related events. This may not be true for everybody, but you might be surprised. Look around. Maybe there's a local book festival or author signings, places where you might be able to connect with authors, connect with their publicists who are with them, and be professional and network and get to know people. And if you are going to one of the bigger events, for example, Book Expo and BookCon, use it as an opportunity not just to get books and connect with friends, but also to reach out to publicists that maybe you've emailed or you've been interested in working with. You can hand them a business card, let them put a face to a name, and connect with them. And that's a really great place for that. Hopefully this is helpful and gives you guys some practical tips and tools for how to start working with publishers or working more with publishers. It's really not that complicated. Obviously, the bigger your platform gets and the more that you work with publicists, the more opportunities will come your way, and so that will slowly grow over time. So it may just start out with having e-arcs on Netgalley or working with a couple of indie authors. It can grow over time. It just requires being professional, being easy to work with, and being proactive. It never hurts to ask. So as a quick recap, here are my 10 tips. Maybe not in the order that I said them all in this video, but this is what I had on my original notes to myself list for the video. Number 1, use Netgalley. It's great, and it's a great starting point. Number 2, cross-post to another platform like Instagram or Twitter, and of course, Goodreads. Number 3, maybe work with some indie authors if you find some great ones in genres that you're interested in. I know horror is another place where there's a lot of really good indie authors that are interested in getting their work out there. Also, don't forget the smaller publishers. There are small and mid-tier publishers that are not getting as inundated with requests as the big 5. Be professional and write professional emails that make publicists' lives easy. Have business cards made and treat book events as networking opportunities. Be nice and be easy to work with. Don't forget to request less popular titles. It doesn't always have to be the big blockbuster book. Of course, be honest with your reviews, but if you love something, shout about it and tag the publisher. And finally, it never hurts to ask. Even if you think that your platform is too small, ask anyway because you never know. I started asking for stuff pretty early on when I had a tiny platform, and it's pretty amazing some of the things that came from that. Of course, there were some no's, but there were some yeses too. Those are my tips. Hopefully that was helpful. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on the things I shared in this video. And if you have any extra tips or things that you think people should try, leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.